There are moments in life when words carry the weight of hidden worlds, quiet storms brewing behind calm smiles. When someone speaks, it is not only the meaning of their words that matters, but also the silence between them. The tone, the hesitation, the energy, these are the true languages of the soul. You see, truth rarely wears a mask, deception always does. When a man says certain words, they are not just phrases. They are confessions disguised as conversation. They are the faint cracks in a carefully painted wall. Most people hear them and move on, but the ones who listen deeply, not with their ears, but with their awareness, they know, because these 6 words don't just reveal what he says, they reveal what he's hiding. This is not about suspicion or anger, it's about clarity. It's about recognizing when love has turned into an illusion, when trust has become a story we tell ourselves. So today, let us look beyond the surface of language and understand what those 6 words truly mean. Not just about him, but about the deeper truth of human attachment and honesty. Human beings have an extraordinary gift, the ability to shape reality through words. But this gift becomes a weapon when words are used to conceal rather than reveal. The language of evasion is not loud or dramatic, it's quiet, sophisticated, and often sounds harmless. When someone begins to blur details, replace clarity with confusion, or give half-truths disguised as explanations, you are no longer hearing honesty, you are hearing fear dressed as reason. Evasive language is the art of avoiding emotional accountability while pretending to maintain connection. Listen closely to the rhythm of excuses. They rarely begin with facts, they begin with feelings. I just needed space, you're overthinking, it's not what it looks like. Each phrase carries the echo of retreat, not openness. When a man hides behind vague expressions, he isn't protecting your heart, he's protecting his image. The mind learns to twist sincerity into strategy, creating sentences that appear innocent but carry a shadow. In this dance of words, truth is never denied outright. It's merely delayed, diluted, and deflected until the listener begins to doubt their own perception. The tragedy of evasion is not only in deceit, but in disconnection. When words become shields, intimacy disappears. Honest communication requires vulnerability, but evasion thrives on distance. It's the gap between I love you and I'm here, between saying something and meaning it. When a man chooses to speak in riddles, he is no longer engaging in dialogue, he's performing a role. Every vague justification becomes a brick in the wall that separates 2 souls once intertwined by trust and openness. To recognize evasion, you must listen not for what is said, but for what is avoided. Truth has a rhythm, direct, grounded, calm. Lies, on the other hand, are restless. They rush, they hesitate, they over-explain. Notice how an evading person changes subjects or redirects the spotlight back to you. Why are you asking so many questions is not an answer, it's a defense. In that moment, words stop being communication, they become camouflage. The most dangerous part of evasive speech is that it can sound caring. I didn't want to hurt you, or I thought you wouldn't understand. These sentences sound considerate, but they are actually manipulative. They shift blame, creating an illusion that dishonesty is compassion. This is how the deceiver hides behind the mask of emotional protection. True care would tell the truth, even when it's painful. False care hides it, making the pain slow and silent. The difference lies in intention. One liberates, the other controls. Breaking free from the language of evasion begins with awareness. When you learn to hear with emotional intelligence, you stop reacting to words and start reading energy. You understand that truth vibrates with steadiness, while deceit trembles with inconsistency. It's not about accusing or proving someone wrong. It's about seeing clearly. When you no longer allow vague words to lull your intuition, you reclaim your power. Because in the end, evasion only works on those who doubt themselves. Once you begin to trust your inner knowing, no smooth sentence can ever deceive you again. Every word a person speaks is wrapped in an unseen vibration, an energy that reveals more than language ever could. You can disguise your tone, rehearse your sentences, or adjust your expression, but you cannot alter the frequency of what you truly feel. Energy is the language of the soul. It communicates long before words arrive. When someone's tone feels off, when their presence feels distant, though they sit beside you, that's not imagination, it's intuition sensing disconnection. Energy never lies, even when words try to. Truth carries calmness. Deceit trembles beneath charm. Tone is often the first clue that something deeper is unfolding. When someone once spoke with warmth, but now responds with impatience or forced politeness, it's not the words that have changed, it's the vibration beneath them. Listen to how they say simple things, the good morning that feels hollow, the I love you that lacks weight, the I'm just tired that sounds too rehearsed. The voice is a mirror of the inner world. You can hear hesitation, guilt, or absence of sincerity in a single breath. The tone speaks the story that words refuse to tell. Timing is another form of truth. Notice when messages arrive, when calls are delayed, when presence feels inconsistent. Energy flows naturally when honesty exists, but dishonesty disrupts rhythm. If someone once reached out eagerly, but now replies only when convenient, it's not just a scheduling issue, it's emotional withdrawal. Timing reveals priority. We make time for what matters. When someone begins managing their availability like a performance, it's often because they're managing a secret. Truth is spontaneous. Deception is scheduled. The clock itself becomes a silent witness to shifting intentions. Emotional distance speaks louder than silence. A person doesn't have to confess betrayal with words. Their energy withdraws long before the truth emerges. Conversations lose depth. Shared laughter feels mechanical. The connection that once felt alive becomes dull and fragmented. You begin to feel alone in the presence of someone you love. That emptiness is not your insecurity. It's your energy responding to the absence of theirs. When someone starts guarding their emotional space, it's because they're investing it elsewhere. Distance is rarely random. It's a reflection of misaligned truth. Energy is the most honest communicator because it cannot be edited. You can fake a smile, but you can't fake resonance. People often sense something off and dismiss it, calling it paranoia. Yet intuition is not suspicion, it's perception. It's the mind's ability to feel the truth the eyes can't see. When you learn to trust this subtle awareness, you stop chasing explanations from others. Their words may twist, their actions may contradict, but their energy will always confess. In relationships, energy tells you everything before the story unfolds. To live with awareness means listening to energy as deeply as you listen to words. It requires quieting the noise of hope and expectation to feel what is real. Truth vibrates with peace, even when it's painful. Lies vibrate with confusion, even when they sound comforting. Once you start reading tone, timing, and emotional distance, deception loses its disguise. Because energy never hides, it simply shifts. When you stop doubting what you feel, you stop being deceived. The body knows, the heart knows. Energy always tells the truth, long before the mind accepts it. Cheating is often mistaken for a story about lust or temptation, but at its root it is a story about fear. It's not always the craving for another person that drives someone to betray. It's the inability to confront who they have become. When a man cheats, he is not just running towards someone new, he is running away from himself. Infidelity is not born in passion, It is born in avoidance. Behind every act of deception lies a frightened mind, desperate to escape the reflection that love once held up to it. When two people fall in love, they unconsciously become mirrors for one another. They reflect back hidden strengths, insecurities, and unhealed wounds. In the beginning, this reflection feels beautiful. It confirms worth, admiration, and connection. But as time passes, that same mirror begins to reveal uncomfortable truths. A man begins to see not only the image he wants to believe about himself, but also the parts he has neglected or denied. For some, this reflection becomes unbearable. Instead of evolving through it, they seek another mirror, one that flatters rather than challenges. Fear disguises itself in many ways. It can appear as boredom, restlessness, or the claim that something is missing. But beneath those justifications lies one simple truth. They are afraid to face the emptiness within. They chase newness, not because it's fulfilling, but because it distracts them from the stillness of self-awareness. When a person has not made peace with their own insecurities, they look for validation in the eyes of another. The affair becomes a temporary escape from the discomfort of introspection, a fragile refuge built on illusion. The mirror of fear does not only reflect guilt, it also reveals immaturity. Many who cheat are emotionally underdeveloped, trapped in the adolescent need for approval and excitement. They fear the quiet depth of real intimacy, where masks fall away and vulnerability begins. True connection demands presence, patience, and self-honesty, qualities that fear cannot tolerate. So they retreat into secrecy, convincing themselves that pleasure will bring freedom. Yet, the more they hide, the heavier the reflection becomes. What they avoid in silence grows louder within their conscience. Every act of betrayal begins long before the physical moment. It starts in the mind, where fear whispers that love is confinement, that responsibility is burden, that honesty is weakness. This distorted belief blinds a person to the truth that freedom exists only in authenticity. By cheating, they think they are escaping control, but in reality, they are surrendering to fear's control. The other person becomes not a partner, but a distraction, a mirror that temporarily erases their own reflection. But once the thrill fades, the same emptiness returns, more demanding than before. To heal from this cycle, one must turn toward the mirror rather than away from it. Facing oneself is the most courageous act of love. It means acknowledging insecurities without judgment, recognizing past wounds without projection, and standing naked before one's own truth. Only when a man accepts his flaws can he truly commit without deception. Cheating is not an act of freedom, it is the loudest confession of fear. And only through self-awareness can that fear dissolve, allowing love to evolve from illusion into something real, steady, and sacred. When betrayal shatters the heart, the first impulse is to strike back, to restore balance through anger, to make the other person feel what you felt. But vengeance never truly heals, it only deepens the wound. The real transformation begins when pain becomes a teacher rather than a weapon. Awareness is born in the quiet after the storm, when the noise of emotion settles and truth begins to whisper. In that stillness, you start to see that the pain was not meant to destroy you, but to awaken you. It reveals where your illusions once lived. Awareness does not demand that you forgive instantly or forget easily. It asks that you look inward, not outward. The question is not, why did they hurt me, but what is this experience showing me about myself? Every heartbreak is a mirror, reflecting where you placed your worth, your expectations, your need for validation. When you see clearly, you realize that the pain of betrayal is not just about what was done to you, it's also about what you believed you needed from someone else to feel whole. Awareness transforms that dependency into strength. Understanding dissolves bitterness. When you begin to see that people act from their own unhealed pain, you stop personalizing their actions. Cheating, lying, or betrayal are symptoms of inner emptiness, not reflections of your value. The one who hurt you is at war within themselves long before they wounded you. Recognizing this truth does not justify the act, but it releases you from the poison of resentment. Awareness shows you that carrying anger only ties you to the very person you want to be free from. Letting go becomes liberation, not surrender. The awakening of awareness invites you to shift from reaction to observation. Instead of replaying the story, you begin to study it, the tone, the timing, the emotions, the lessons. You see patterns that once went unnoticed, how intuition tried to warn you, how fear kept you silent, how love blinded you to red flags. Awareness doesn't erase the past, it gives meaning to it. When you understand the purpose behind your pain, suffering loses its grip. What once felt like an ending becomes the beginning of inner clarity. Awareness also softens the heart. It teaches that strength isn't the absence of pain, but the ability to remain open despite it, to stay kind, to stay present, to stay truthful even when others are not. That is spiritual maturity. When you awaken, you stop asking life to protect you from pain, and instead ask it to reveal truth through pain. You stop searching for control and begin living with acceptance. You realize that peace is not found in changing others, but in transforming your perception of them. This is how the soul expands. Freedom through awareness is the quiet revolution of the heart. You no longer chase closure from others because you understand that awareness is closure. It completes what revenge never could. By choosing understanding over hatred, you rise above the story and step into wisdom. Every wound becomes a doorway, every loss a teacher, every betrayal an awakening. Pain no longer defines you, it refines you. Awareness turns the end of love into the beginning of self-realization. In that awakening, you do not win or lose. You simply become free. When truth finally rises from beneath the ruins of deception, we are faced with a choice: to remain broken or to awaken. Every word spoken, every silence endured, every subtle shift in energy carries a message meant to lead us back to awareness. Through the pain of betrayal, we begin to understand that what hurts us is not merely the action of another, but our own attachment to illusions we refuse to see. We believed in words that sounded like love, but carried the vibration of fear. Yet even in heartbreak, there lies a quiet invitation, the call to evolve. The language of evasion taught us that truth can hide behind gentle tones and vague phrases, but it also taught us to listen differently, to hear with the soul rather than the ears. The energy of a person never lies. It whispers honesty long before words do. When love turns distant, when warmth turns mechanical, when the laughter fades into performance, we are not losing affection, we are being guided toward awareness. These subtle shifts are not punishments, they are signals, urging us to awaken to what is real, to what cannot be hidden. Fear, as we have seen, is the silent architect of deceit. It is not desire that drives one to betray, it is the terror of self-confrontation. Those who cheat are often running from their reflection, from the truth of who they are when stripped of validation and ego. But even this realization is not meant to spark hatred. It is meant to deepen our understanding of human fragility. Every act of betrayal is a confession of fear. And once we see this, compassion quietly replaces vengeance. We begin to heal not by punishing others, but by facing our own truth with gentleness. Pain, when met with awareness, transforms into perception. The awakening does not come through revenge or retreat, but through understanding. Awareness frees us from the endless cycle of blame and self-pity. It teaches us that peace does not come from getting even. It comes from seeing clearly. When we rise beyond the story, beyond the words, beyond the wounds, we reclaim our power. We learn that love was never meant to imprison, it was meant to awaken. Betrayal, in its painful disguise, becomes the greatest teacher of all, revealing not just the weakness of another, but the strength within ourselves. And so this journey is not about him or her, not about guilt or proof. It's about consciousness. It's about becoming so aware that no one's lies can darken your light again. Every experience, no matter how painful, carries a seed of awakening. If you nurture that seed with reflection instead of resentment, it will grow into wisdom. Let the pain teach you clarity, let the silence teach you strength, and let awareness teach you freedom. Because when understanding replaces anger, peace finally finds you. Thank you for listening. May you see clearly, love deeply, and walk in truth. God bless you.